we are seeing individuals who were pretending to have left ZANU-PF. I'm referring in this regard to Temba Mliswa, joining the factional terrain of ZANU-PF, and in this regard choosing to side with the Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa faction. It remains to be seen whether this will not actually endanger people who actually enter into this political fray that is highly charged. And as usual, I think I'll be taking you through the statements that he has read. He has entered the fray by defending the Mnangagwa faction and also defending the statement that has been issued by Patrick Chinamasa, saying there was excitement. Obviously, he is tracking for something. People like Temba Mliswa are opportunists. They go where there is seemingly money, and he is trying to survive. Remember, he tried to be outside ZANU-PF, and when he was outside ZANU-PF, he was earning some form of living independently from ZANU-PF. Now, the electorate showed him a middle finger. He is definitely a desperate guy trying to survive. Greetings and welcome on your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that when we bring them hot here, you become the very first one to watch us. So he wrote a lot, numerous actually tweets in support of this. I'll read them. He says, there has been excitability. So he's saying there is absolutely no excitability with Patrick Chinamasa. Excitability around ZANU-PF Secretary for Legal Affairs, Patrick Chinamasa, deleting and subsequently reposting of the Takwire co-option matter. A thorough examination of the contextual elements at play is essential for a comprehensive understanding. That is your Temba Mliswa. Let me read what next he said. Let me go there. All right. And then he goes on to say, he's telling us about Chinamasa, obviously something that may be to the people of Zimbabwe. You know, these days I laugh when I see these ZANU-PF people lying. There is no reason to lie when there is social media. We will expose you. He says, Chinamasa is a seasoned cadre, known for his ability to navigate complex political issues. Alongside Minister Mate, he played a pivotal role in the legal framework that underpinned the landmark land reform program enacted despite international scrutiny. Was there international scrutiny? Because if there was international scrutiny, they could have actually dealt with the ZANU-PF regime abroad. So he's saying, he knows that, Patrick Chinamasa has been laughed at. He has been mocked a lot in social media. So before he actually say anything, he's trying to restore the dignity of Patrick Chinamasa, which is absolutely a lost cause, if indeed it was a cause. He continues saying, following the events of 2017, he's glorifying Chinamasa, telling us what roles he played in 2017 as if it's important. Chinamasa was instrumental in facilitating a legally sound campaign to bring back ET. Furthermore, he has been a key contributor to the 2030 agenda, which involves strategic alignment of reforms with national law. You know, when I read this, because I've been following this story, I think I've covered ZANU-PF factionalism a lot. I've been following this story, so I know a lot when someone is lying. If there is anything, Patrick Chinamasa has not played an instrumental role, especially on 2030 agenda. That is why at one point he was insulted by Barakashi after, you remember the ZANU-PF conference when they had passed the resolution, Patrick Chinamasa pouring very, very cold water to the hot water that Barakashi as well as Mnangagwa faction had actually prepared, hoping they were going to come out of that conference very, very happy. He just ended the party, and I don't know why he is saying he's a strategic contributor to the 2030. There is absolutely nothing close to that. So he says to 2030, which involve whatever. Anyway, let me read another. He says, thus Chinamasa is a constitutional with a profound understanding of legal parameters. His recent statements are echoed in law and fact, standing in stark contrast. Let me go there. Standing in stark contrast to the emotionally charged rhetoric previously expressed by Mnangagwa. So he is actually hitting at Chris Mnangagwa. Guys, ZANU-PF is actually eating up each other. That's why I laugh when I'm analyzing this. I like the fact, let me hold my phone so that don't, like they say, his recent statements are echoed in law and fact. Anyway, we know that that is a lie, standing in stark contrast to the emotionally charged rhetoric previously expressed by Mnangagwa. So when you hear Temba Mliswa, let me try to be serious. When you hear Temba Mliswa speaking in such a manner, don't ever think he's expressing his own ideas. He is actually speaking on behalf of the Mnangagwa faction. Most probably the Zikanandas have actually paid him something because he's busy these days twerking strongly for 2030. I mean, like never before. Something that is clear that definitely maybe a car has been donated to the man, or he's twerking so hard so that maybe these people can actually visit him with a car. So you can, like what I was thinking, that Chris Mnangagwa appears to have crossed the way to the other side of the road. That is why the 2030 gang are busy eating him up. And these include your Temba Mliswa. He says, it is worth noting that even the debated 2030 agenda possesses legal protections that validate its proposed reforms. While one might contest the agenda on alternative grounds, the legal framework permits the alterations it encompasses. And remember, I've said this guy does not speak on his own. He has been instructed, most probably. These are prepared statements that he has been given. Please write about this, influence this, especially on social media. Now you hear what he's saying. While one might contest the agenda on alternative grounds, the legal framework permits the alterations it encompasses. He's speaking about 2030. He is saying it is permissible for 2030 to be actually applied. So you can tell the mind as well as where the Mnangagwa faction wants to go as far as 2030 agenda is concerned, and as far as also Gudawashe Takure. They called Gubawake. He has a new name on the streets. They are calling him Gubawake. It's not me on the streets, if especially you go to X streets. He said, therefore, Chinamasa's remarks should be interpreted as the authentic stance of the party, free from the contrivances of factional elements. It is imperative that we maintain a rational perspective and refrain from allowing our partisan biases to overshadow the reality. So this fellow, what he is saying, he is simply saying what has been said by Patrick Chinamasa is what people should run with. But what has been said by Chris Mutswangwa, he was speaking a rhetoric for factionalism. I think when it comes to predicting these issues, I'm always on point. You remember when I told you that there is highly likelihood that that press briefing which was conducted by Chris Mutswangwa, he was told by, the vice president, that is retired Chiwenga, to do that press briefing, and as well as mention the issues that he mentioned. Remember, Mnangagwa was away, was out of the country, and they made good use of him out of the country to convene such a press briefing and release explosives. I wonder what is the ZANU-PF Director of Information feeling at this moment. That Mrapira Kai always. Even when Chris Mutswangwa was saying something, I wonder whether he is not also in trouble. It must be difficult to be a ZANU-PF member, especially when there are two warring factions within ZANU-PF. And then let's continue with this. Mutswangwa's viewpoint was largely driven by personal ambition and factional maneuvering. Whereas, you see, one, personal ambition, two, factional maneuvering, which means he is moving from one faction to another. Whereas Chinamasa's legal analysis regarding co-option follows a basic and untainted path, then he is lying. There is also, unfortunately, these ZANU fools, the other one will point another and says this one is wrong, I am right. And the other one also will point to the other and say, no, I am right, that one is wrong. So Temba Mliswa, as much as he is saying Mtswangwa is factional, he is also factional. He is pushing the agenda of Emerson Mnangagwa as well as Gubagwake. He is pushing also for the agenda of Gubagwake. When I speak about Gubagwake, I'm referring to Gudawashe Tagwire. That is the name that he has been given on the streets. Gubagwake is a Shona word meaning someone who is stealing something. Can someone help me there? Okay, so let me continue reading this. Once co-option has been executed and accepted at the provincial level, minimal room remains for debate at central authority. He is actually justifying what Patrick Chinamasa said, of which I spoke comprehensively about this issue. There was a juncture where intervention against the decision could have been possible, yet it was not exercised. So he's simply repeating what Patrick Chinamasa tweaked. Similarly, the 2030 agenda has undergone scrutiny and has been endorsed at the 21st National People's Conference, solidifying its status as a party directive. You see, it's coming out clear. The same principle applies to the Takwire situation, which has been endorsed by the relevant province. These decisions make for done deals. Any contrivances on the matter will amount to factional and even illegal agendas. Na izozo vane nzebe ngaba nzwe, which means if you have ears, you should listen. Vane meso vaone. I'm good in Shona these days. Those with eyes see. Now, someone is responding to Temba Mliswa. If I was never to trust anyone in politics, it's this double-faced clown calling himself Sapu Umsuzo. I think I couldn't have. The only thing is that this guy has allowed something to come out of. I'm just reading the comments after the nonsense that he wrote. Second hours, Mono Achinyora. I mean, someone said 2 hours, Mono Achinyora. Toto. Okay.